We're here at micebook EXPO. I'm here with Anna Green from Broadsword. We have just come out of the Power 30 session, the Power 30 most sustainable agencies. Broadsword have been included again, so congratulations. But not only that, you were also the biggest climber this year compared to last year. What does this mean to you personally, but also the business as well?
It's amazing. I think the highest climber for me signifies improvement, and for Broadsword and for me personally, it's all about improvement, continuous improvement. We'll never reach that point of perfection, but we always strive to do better every year. So yeah, it's almost the perfect recognition this year for me.
Great, thank you. And why is sustainability so important to you personally, and how does that translate into how Broadsword operates as a business?
I think for me personally, I need to be running an organisation and creating a community around me that is more than just about making money. When I found particularly the B Corp movement, it was a real anchor point and something, a mission that I could centre myself around and then build my team and take them on that journey with me. So being a business that's a force for good and understanding the opportunity really to decide where to spend money, who to influence, what sort of work we can craft for our clients and have a real positive impact on our world and our team. That's really powerful and inspiring. I'm a real optimist. I need to focus on things that are positive, that are hopeful. For me, sustainability is that.
So you've just come off a panel session with a couple of other agencies that were in the Power 30. What stood out for you most in that conversation?
I think we were all B Corps, and I know that there are different viewpoints about accreditations and being a B Corp, but I think we all had that same foundation, that framework that we were working to, that language that we could share with our teams, empower our teams to have conversations with clients, to keep going, to keep wanting to improve. That's what I felt we really all had in common. And that use of data to drive conversations, to strengthen our argument. And looking at sustainability not just from a carbon point of view, but also from a social value point of view. We were all working in that space, thinking about it. And that was really lovely to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of validation, isn't it, to know that you're amongst a great company, but you're all doing similar things just in different ways.
Yeah.
What role do you think that leadership plays in making those sustainability policies sort of stick with the team, but also with, I guess, encouraging your clients to understand how important it is?
I think you have to mean it as a leader, and it's not something that you can pretend to be just because you think it's going to help you win new business or maintain clients or because it's on a compliance questionnaire. You have to mean it, you have to live it every day, you have to be authentic, keep your promises, and then your team believe you and they live and breathe it too. But I really do believe it's one of my biggest jobs as a leader to stand proudly behind our B Corp status and make sure that that is front and centre every day when I show up to work.
And you mentioned earlier in the panel about also making sure that it's not just an outward-facing thing, oh yeah, we're a B Corp, we're a sustainable agency, and then sort of behind the scenes, doing things that maybe don't actually resonate with those values.
Absolutely, and understanding that we can't do everything and we can't be perfect, but there are lots of things in our sphere of control, and we focus on those things and finding ways to introduce social enterprises into our events. We focused a lot on our supply chain and educating them, classifying them, encouraging the team to use more sustainable suppliers. We've got a lot of choice in the events industry of who to spend money with to produce these complex events. So there are things we can do. We should never feel hopeless and overwhelmed that it's pointless, because it's really not.
So Broadsword was also named Best Global Agency at the micebook Awards last year. What did that moment mean to you, and sort of how did it sort of validate how you're leading the business?
It was a huge accolade for me. I was shocked and surprised and overwhelmed at the time. I wasn't expecting it. It was really the culmination of a decade of work in the industry, having come from being a teacher to a role of managing director of an agency, felt like a validation that I could do that in my way. I didn't need to copy somebody else, and that it was okay to be me, and it was working, and that the path that I'd set myself on, I should continue on and feel proud to be on it.
You've always quite liked to sort of lead in a slightly different way. Can you sort of explain maybe how you approach leadership? And also, I know with your background in teaching, how that has fed through into how you chose to be an MD and how you wanted to do it differently.
I'm not the most confident of people. I'm not a natural extrovert. And I find myself in leadership circles surrounded by people that are quite different to me. And at times, it's easy to question if you're the right sort of person. Are you strong enough? Are you loud enough? Are you confident enough? But I think that what teaching proved to me was that as human beings, we are all different from a very young age, collaborating, existing, working towards common goals, playing on people's strengths and weaknesses. And I've really used that approach to build the team at Broadsword. Never forgotten that a person is a whole person. It's not just a person that comes to work. There's a whole family and friendships and different pressures and strains behind the scenes before they even get to work. So being sensitive to everyone's needs, treating them as unique humans, having a lot of empathy for everything that life throws at us and at them, and just creating a stable environment. It doesn't have to be the most exciting, aggressively growing environment. It needs to be stable and reassuring, and somewhere that people know that the promises are going to be kept and they're going to be well looked after. Definitely come from the background in education as well.
So you've been quite open in our agency leader conversations in the last few months that 2025 was quite a challenging year for you as a business. You had a brilliant 2024. Last year was a bit of a year of highs and lows. What did that teach you as a leader?
It was a very challenging year last year, I think, because we had moments where some really difficult decisions had to be made and communication had to be shared internally, alongside some of our biggest successes and euphoric moments. And that tension between those highs and lows felt difficult for me. But what I did realise about leadership is that you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable with that tension. It will always be that way. There's no certainty. That's the reality. And it is my job to balance that feeling and to keep my emotions in check so that I can provide that reassurance for everyone around me.
How do you best support the team, and what's the best approach to, I mean, you talked a bit about communication. Are there any other sort of strategies you put in place to just help the team get through the difficult periods as well?
I think as much transparency as possible. That is difficult, particularly some of the events that happened for us last year. There were moments when I desperately wanted to be more transparent than I was, but I had to wait. Language choice is really key, and that does lean back into communication, but I'm a huge believer in sensitive language choice and not taking for granted that a message will come across in the way that you intend. Really thinking about the words you're using, the timing, and then tailoring it to the individual at times. Language choice, transparency, and keeping my promises, not over-promising, being really clear, even if that meant holding information until I was ready, that I could deliver a message that I knew that I could stand behind.
How are you kind of, I guess, positioning Broadsword to meet what clients are demanding now, but sort of, keeping that eye on the future as well?
I think longevity is a key word I would use. We're being asked for production solutions that can be reused or repurposed, whether that's in client offices or for repeat events. Kind of being asked to help everyone take a step back and look at a bigger picture, and also use our creativity for sustainability. So we produced an event last year for one of our clients, which was an online hackathon event, fully powered by solar. But coming at it from that point of view was really exciting and interesting for the team, and the client was delighted, and it did work. And it's a real legacy piece for us and for them.
When you look ahead to the next phase for Broadsword, what are you most focused on?
For me, that's my number one aim, looking after them so that we can continue to produce amazing work with our clients and help them elevate their brands, their projects, their creativity. It does all have to, the heart really needs to be, in the way that I look after the team.
You're quite passionate about championing female leadership, but also mentoring the next generation. Why is that so important to you? And also, why is that so important for us as an industry, do you think?
I think, as I said earlier, I've often had issues with my own confidence, and I know how powerful it is to have somebody that you can talk to that will champion you. And mentoring is amazing. It's kind of unlocking a person's potential. I think it's one of the most rewarding things that you can do. And I think women are very much in need of that. We're very good at putting ourselves down, at questioning ourselves, wondering why sometimes we're in these positions of leadership or why our businesses are doing well, rather than celebrating that. Anything that I can do to help other women and young women who I see myself in, unlock that potential. And I have a daughter who is in her early 20s, and I've also got a son, and I've brought them up exactly the same way, but I see myself in my daughter every day. I do think sometimes it's kind of in our DNA. So we need that extra bit of support and help, and a community around us to help us stand tall, really prove our value, because we're incredible.
Yeah. Is there anyone in particular, or a book or a podcast or anything that's inspired your thinking lately?
Well, very recently, I had the privilege of being invited to a fireside chat with an explorer who I hadn't come across before, called Pen Hadow.
Okay.
And he was the first person to reach the North Pole solo via the hardest route. He achieved it in 2003, third attempt. Since then, he set up a foundation with a sole mission to protect the North Pole. Fascinating. One person can make a difference. He's influencing governments to really sit up and listen to how important it is that we do protect the North Pole. The whole world relies on it. So yeah, I'd recommend looking him up.
Definitely will. Thanks so much, Anna. It's been great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.